I wanted to express my opinion on NATO. I realized yesterday that NATO, there's a great English word that is called containment, right? So basically, NATO is it exists for containment of the Soviet Union before, right? Soviet Union pressure, Soviet Union invasions. So to contain that, or for containment of that um, plague, they created NATO, the free countries, right? They created NATO. But it appears that NATO is done for not one containment, but for two containments. Right now, being part of the NATO is having your hands tied behind your back and not being able to do anything without the general NATO's agenda, like that is going to stick out of the general NATO's agenda, right? Because its agenda is to not provoke Russia, to not fight back. If like so, ideally, what should be done with when those drones, Herbira drones, 19 of them, right, or maybe more. Some sources say it's more. They when they were flying into Poland. Hello, Aziza. Good to see you. You look cool. Azov T-shirt, nice. That's the original patch of Azov. So when those drones were flying into Poland, what ideally Polish people, Polish army should have done is strike the Russian production of those Hirpiras, right? And Shahid drones ideally, because Shahids are going to be next. So no response. No response should be done. No military response should be done to not become the part of the war. But the problem is, I think many countries in NATO don't, I think they realize they just are, containment is also used against them. So NATO is containing the, I'm not sure if containing is the modification.
Deter.
How?
It's deter.
Deter.
Deterrent.
Okay. So NATO deters the NATO members of using the force, using the fight back, and somehow respond to Russia. So, yeah, I had this insight yesterday, and being in NATO actually may be pretty damaging to your country as a result. So, when we talk about Ukraine joining NATO, these days we may be maybe not. I think it might not be a very good option for us these days. So, what do you guys think about it?
So, like, NATO was formed as literally a deterrent to basically as an alliance group to deter the Soviet expansion of Russia. That's what it was formed for originally. I think NATO is a good thing to be in for definitely, because you have a lot of security and you have the partners, and obviously everything is standardized, and it's all organized in a specific way. And obviously, don't get me wrong, political agendas are everywhere. NATO is obviously involved in politics because it is, has multiple different countries in there doing multiple different things in multiple different countries. And that's all for political reasons, obviously other reasons and stuff like that. But I think that Ukraine needs to go into NATO because it will also help stop the bullshit I was talking about last week. It will all be like in NATO. Everybody is sick. Will you shut up? Everybody is on the same like hymn sheet. Like everybody understands what's going on within that battle space, and it's all organized and it's all like rehearsed, and everybody has like not necessarily the same equipment, but everybody will be utilizing the same bullets. So there won't be like, oh, I'm running out of this or I'm running out of that. Everybody will have the same stuff and it will all be there ready to go. I I agree with what you're saying. NATO could have, said this whole issue with Poland with Russians flying Shaheeds into Poland as an act of war. They definitely could have done that. But instead, what they decided to do was do something and say, let's do Article 4. Article 4, if anybody doesn't know what that means, it basically means that like everybody will sit around a table either in person or on Google Meet like we are now because we're very professional and discuss what we don't like about the world. That is basically what Article 4 is. So in other words, they're going to do fuck all about it. But that is unfortunately the way the world is at the minute. Is I don't think if NATO got involved, I really don't think there would be a World War III. I really, really don't. I don't think there would be a nuclear war either. I really, really don't. Because that's just fucking stupid. And yes, there is stupid people in the world, but that's just another level. And I don't think they'd want to go down with it. But no, like if NATO got involved, let's say next week, I really, really do think that it would put everybody back in their box and everybody would start behaving again. But that would also mean like people would have to play NATO's game and be above board and do what they want. But that's my opinion on it. Yeah. Yeah. No, mate. It's gay, innit?
There was also funny distortion of your microphone when you were finishing that. This was like.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry, bro. Hang on.
No. It's okay now. It's okay now. Don't do anything. Yeah, I think Atom, you wanted to say something.
What can I say? Excluding politics, the best part of NATO is that everything is standardized.
Yeah.
How would I say it?
Standardized, maybe.
Yep, sure. So, for example, like we have now 155 millimeter guns, but we use like the very huge various of shells. Not telling some countries. So, for example, Polish self-propelled howitzer Krab is he has, I believe, 8 shells to be shooted from this gun, but we use like 35, if not 40, different shells, different like munition from all around the world, and you don't have tables, you don't know how those will fly, like I mean what to expect from them. But when you
sorry to
have
interrupt you.
everything the same. Yep.
Sorry to interrupt, but like Soviet weapons were designed to be able to do that because the way the Soviets fought, which is actually quite clever, is
Yep.
well, the West are using 81s, so if we make 82s, we can use their ammo as well. Like that was like their way of thinking. So with Soviet like self-propelled guns and like mortars and artillery systems, it's all designed to be able to take Western ammunition.
Yep.
But yeah, like so that was my little interruption. Sorry, I just thought it was quite cool.
Yeah, but for example, when you have like Indian shells, that
You've had
was
Indian shells.
that was
How did
kind of
they go?
surprise for Russians whenever they saw it from the news. And actually, those were the guys from my brigade who made a photo somewhere on the New Year's Eve with the yellow shell. They had like much problems, but everything is okay. So they are also 155 millimeters, but they just fly absolutely different. So whenever you know you have enough ammunition of that predictable types, everything becomes much easier, like way easier. That's one of the points. Also, there are many like thoughts about politics because being allied with countries who have nuclear weapon and at least you're agreed on the paper and which is recognized in the world that in case you're being attacked, those guys with big bombs, they will fight for you. Which doesn't mean nuclear weapon will be used, but it is like a стримуючий factor.
Oh,
Help me.
let me try to
please.
translate. Like withholding factor with.
Yep. So for bad guys, not even thinking of touching you. Something you would like to have on your back, let's say honestly.
Yeah, but you see, I have this question in my head when you say this. Like, will NATO members these days really be defending their allies? Because, like, okay, some will, some definitely will, because there are some really conscious European countries who are, the closer they are to Russia, the more conscious they are about the reality of things. They will fight for their neighbors, I'm sure. I'm sure if, let's say, Poland will be attacked next, I'm sure that Finland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia will send their troops there and will like build the logistics, will supply Poland. But you see, we also have this problematic countries in NATO, like Hungary, who will definitely be undermining the unity of NATO, just like it's undermining the unity of Europe right now. European Union. So this might be really problematic to find consensus and, to keep the unity of all NATO, especially with the reaction of Trump to attack, kind of encouraging Putin to keep it going. Like, here we go. So it's like, that reaction to me felt like Trump was really also part of designing this attack, and he was like, yes, here we go, I'm behind this. like he was really encouraging this to happen. So that was all reaction. There was some senator or congressman reacted condemning Russia, but I didn't see that many in the United States properly reacting to this. So all of this is together with the red carpet in Alaska for the biggest war criminal of our times, it seems like Trump will not be willing to defend the NATO allies when Putin attacks NATO countries on the land, because the attacks are already happening everywhere, all across the NATO. There are electricity cuts, there are diversions on the military production plants, there is, all those cables in Baltic Sea are being cut, and there are many more diversions coming in the next few years, and Russians are building a huge network. They already built it. They're just building it up. They're making it bigger in European countries. And the war is already going. And I don't agree with you, Fuzzy, when you say there's going to be no World War III, because in my opinion, the World War has changed. Its face has changed. It's now not only ground operations, but all these hybrid methods of war. Diversions, the attack on the infrastructure, because some hackers turned off electricity. Where, guys? Was it for a few days? Spain, Portugal? The electricity was not, working for, maybe it was just a day, but we also had the power cuts in France, if I'm not mistaken. So the situation is like, NATO is already at war, just not at the typical understanding of this war, not the war that Russia is doing here in Ukraine right now. Russia is was doing the same kind of war to us, committing, and waging the same kind of war on us before they invaded us. They did all of this informational operations, diversions. Our ammo depots were exploding in Ukraine not so long ago. And before the full-scale invasion. So they were preparing, and right now they are preparing. And this attack with Herbera drones is also, I agree with Zelensky, he called it looks really like the 2014 invasion, like Crimea annexation. They do it like with one part, like small piece, then they take another small piece, and, they make everyone get used to this. So we kind of, with first attack, it's like a big fuzz. But then next attack on Poland with Herbera drones, maybe it's the same amount, maybe less of them in the next attack. Then there's going to be one Shaheedim on them. It might be like 20 Herberas and 2 Shaheed drones. Then they just make everyone used to this. And next time Trump will be going out with a statement, my conscience is my conscience. He has no conscience. Okay, my patience is running low. These attacks in Poland, people are dying there. I'm really ready to impose sanctions on Russia. My patience is running low. So all of this shit. Trump is. I'm seeing him
If
perfectly.
I were the president, the war would never start.
Yes, exactly. The war in Poland would never started if I was a president. All of this is like a perfect match. The Donald Trump and Huilo are a perfect match, and they are just, they play along perfectly together. All of this. It's just already ridiculous how Trump is just promising those sanctions for months and months now and doing nothing. To me, it's obvious that they're in one team, and that's just such a strategy to just, drag time and give Russia more time and opportunities to prepare some of their operations. Because, the exercises that are happening right now next to the Polish, Lithuanian, and Latvian borders, right? Maybe also Estonian. I'm not sure, but so with Belarusia, they are doing these exercises, Zapad, or training, Zapad 2, if I'm not mistaken, the West too. And that one, how it was before the full-scale invasion. They were also doing training in Belarus, and they just kept their forces there for some time. And these forces might not be invading Poland. They might not be doing ground operations, but they may keep their drone teams on the border, and they may start using FPV drones or Molnia drones against Poland, and just bit by bit, not that massive as they do in Ukraine. But just start killing civilians here and there, or maybe attacking the military bases in Poland. Attacking the Rzeszów airport would be really beneficial for them. So there are many hybrid options, and doing it not all in, just like in 2022, they came into Ukraine all in because they were confident that they will capture us in 7 days, the whole Ukraine in 2 weeks, right? But they may do it even slower and make everyone used to the fact that European countries, except for Ukraine, the other countries are also being bombed bit by bit. And is it going to be proper reaction to really prevent those attacks? Because even trying to hit drones down is not the same as making it the way that there won't be any more drones coming in the future. It's totally different, and it also contributes to giving the world, the Europe, a slow, not addiction, but like slow. normalization,
to.
getting used to, slow getting used to all of this. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my point. That's some of them are based, like most of them are based on Ukrainian analytics. So the smart, experienced people in Ukraine I read, they are saying these things, and I see. Yeah, that's what Russia is doing, really. And what are your thoughts on that, guys? Yoni, you actually have been silent for half an hour. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on what I said?
So those were all of you what you said. I agree with most of it, and I think those are good points. I think NATO is not really the main focus for Ukraine now, in the sense that it's easy to focus on NATO membership, but I just don't think it's going to happen during the full-scale war, because Hungary, Slovakia, even some other countries, there are lots of issues. I mean, Finland and Sweden had a hard time to enter NATO, and we're not at war. So I don't think that NATO is going to happen anytime soon for Ukraine, unfortunately. But to get back on what you said about Poland hitting back, I think one reason why they're not hitting back to the places where Russia is building those drones, first of all, obviously they don't want to start a conflict, but second of all, they have no means to hit back there, because Poland doesn't have any missiles or drones that are capable of hitting that far. And most NATO countries don't have them. The US could do it with Tomahawks or something, but Poland doesn't have any missiles that are having so much reach that they could actually fly to Tatarstan or something. So I think NATO is great in terms of standardization, and it's proven to be quite effective at deterrence, because obviously no one has been invaded inside of NATO. And I think if Ukraine had the chance to be a member, it's quite a low risk thing, because even if there is Hungary and Slovakia acting badly or doing something, at the end of the day, you're still allowed to defend yourself. So it doesn't take anything away from you. It's if Ukraine would be a member of NATO in 2030 and get invaded again, Ukraine could defend itself the same way as it would defend itself without being in NATO. Then what the other NATO members would do, that's another question. I would depend on the political situation and so on, but I don't think they would take anything away in that sense. And I think the fact that even France, for example, is sending jets to Poland right now to help with the drones, even if it's only 3 jets, it just shows that inside NATO there is this extra help that you get that you wouldn't get if you're not in NATO. Ukraine doesn't get jets from the West coming to help shoot down drones, but Poland got them right away for these few drones. So NATO is far from perfect, and it has massive issues and bad faith members in it. But I think that the downsides are kind of worth it. And for example, for Finland, we joined only once the full war started, and we've only been members for 2 years now. But I think it was still the right choice for us, because that versus being alone is still a big difference, and the cost is quite small in that sense. It's even if, let's say, we get invaded tomorrow, Hungary can say no, we don't want to help. But at the end of the day, if Estonia wants to help us or if Sweden wants to help us, no one is going to block them, and we will still get some of the upsides of being in NATO. And what Atom said about the nuclear deterrent, it also helps. Being in NATO and just accessing weapons that we would not be able to access without being there, including the F-35, for example. Obviously, Trump is a big issue, and trusting US weapons is a bit of a question now. But if you look at the F-35, it's a jet that is so advanced that Russia has nothing that can compare to it. Russia's Sukhoi 57 is just not at the same level. And if you're a NATO member, you can get that jet. If you're really close to the US, you can get that jet, but many countries in the world could not get it because the US would just not sell it. So there are upsides on top of the standardization. There are upsides, and I think the risks are quite small. But obviously, there are bad faith members in NATO. I don't think it's a priority for Ukraine now. I think the main priority, I think the West has spent too much time focusing on talking about sending troops to Ukraine after the war and talking about post-war scenarios and things like that. And I think that's quite useless, because the war is not about to end tomorrow or anytime soon. I think that a lot of European countries have been hoping that the war would end at some point, and just hoping that if they look away, maybe it will end. But it's obviously not going to end. I think that the main focus now should be on getting as many weapons to Ukraine as possible, helping Ukraine's defense industry scale up as much as possible, to produce as much as possible, and giving Ukraine as much financial aid as possible to pay for the salaries of soldiers and to be able to mobilize as much as possible. I think that's the key focus. And then obviously, if we can seize the frozen assets and give more sanctions to Russia, that's also a plus. But I think the alliance talks and even European Union talk and NATO, European Union, and also the post-war peacekeeper talk, I think all of these are kind of taking focus away from the main issue, which is the war that's going right now. And I think that I blame Western leaders for spending the last 8 months while Trump has been in power focusing on these peacekeeper talks and stuff like this, because there won't be any peace anytime soon. And I think that the main focus should be on the war now, and we just need to give more to Ukraine's defense industry and also produce more weapons ourselves and give more to Ukraine in general. I think that's the main thing. I think that Ukraine's main security guarantee will always be Ukraine's own armed forces. I don't think that Ukraine can trust any Western troops, even if we send 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. We don't know how long those will stay. If Marine Le Pen wins in France in 2027, she's going to withdraw the French troops right away. So I don't think that Ukraine can trust anyone else than itself. Of course, Ukraine should try to get as many alliances as possible because it's just a plus and it's a big help to be in them. But the main focus is still, unfortunately, the war right now, and alliances will be for after the war.
I want to translate a message, not a message, but a small post, really small, from a Ukrainian veteran, Yuri Hudymenko, his name is. And he lost the functionality of his right arm and right leg. In 2022, he blown up on a mine. He worked in a separate unit, and his life was saved by his brothers in arms and by Isuzu. He called that one Isus, Jesus. So Isuzu, Isus, it sounds the same. So he, I don't think that guy is like very religious, but just like, they were calling Isuzu among themselves, among the soldiers. They called it Isus. So that Isus and his brothers in arms saved his life. And that's what he said in this post. Listen to it. The guarantee of Europe's security as a Ukrainian infantryman over 50 with a bad back and a concussion the hospital once refused to confirm. The guarantee of Europe's security is a young pilot holding the remote of a Mavic drone. The guarantee of Europe's security is a thin line of trenches and dugouts, pits and basements stretching from Sumy to Kherson. A thin, weary, exhausted and very angry line. On that line, like on a thread, hangs the fate of Europe. If it snaps, everything snaps. And I totally agree with this. So right now, Ukraine is the security guarantee for Europe. And Europe cannot provide any guarantees now, and it doesn't even willing to provide any guarantees right now. No one is talking about this. It's so fucking easy. Yoni, thank you for mentioning that, but they spent the last 8 months talking about something that may never even happen, because there's no, like, not even like slightest signs from Russia that they really want to freeze the war or they want to stop it even more. It's all not possible right now. So it's so fucking easy to talk about something that will never come, We will definitely provide you with all those security guarantees. We will send 30,000 men. Damn it. Russians have 700,000 on our front line. 30,000 men is fucking nothing.
So when I was in the British Army, we were sent to Estonia. There wasn't a lot of us. And we were meant to be a 24-hour speed bump if Russia did come over the border. That's a 24-hour speed bump. So they weren't expecting any of us to live. But 30,000, that would probably be their 24 to 72-hour speed bump, bro. like that's like... that's them pushing the boat.
Once again, they are saying that they're going to send those troops to stand in the rear. Like somewhere in Lviv Oblast. For fuck's sake, what the fuck of security guarantee is that? Like, I mean, and it's so easy to talk about that right now. You know, we just need to wait for peace and it all will come. You know, Yoni, sorry, but Alexander Stubb kind of cringed me big time when he was in Kyiv this week, and he said, one of the journalists asked him, Alexander, Mr. Stubb, can you please tell us, if those security guarantees like may even work? I'm not sure if I'm addressing the question right, but because you see, Russia is not showing any signs that it wants peace right now. What he replied was just, it pissed me off a bit. He said, the most important thing is to get peace right now. And after peace, we will provide guarantees. That's all. And it's kind of, it's a synchronized position of all European countries. Yoni, how happy were you to hear that?
So Alexander Stubb, just a bit of background. Stubb, who is, I appreciate his diplomatic skills, and obviously he's my president. I don't always agree with him on foreign policy, but when Stubb is speaking, it's not actually Stubb that is speaking. Stubb is representing the whole West, because Stubb is one of the very few people who gets along with Zelensky, with all European leaders, and with Trump at the same time. Also with the NATO leadership and so on. And that's why we're the only small country that was involved in the White House Oval Office meeting when Macron and Merz and everyone were there. And there was also Stubb. And Finland is a tiny country, but he was still there because he's kind of friends with everyone and everyone knows him. And his role is kind of to be a middleman and a messenger in this. And unfortunately, the message he brings, I don't know if you saw, he also told Boris Johnson that assets are not going to be frozen, are not going to be seized. He said that the frozen assets are not going to be seized, and he said that there won't be any troops in Ukraine. And obviously, that's not his personal opinion. That's the opinion of the whole West that he's kind of representing. And in a way, I obviously disagree with many of the things he says, but I think that it's also good in a way that someone takes this role, and that it's someone who comes from Finland and not someone who comes from, let's say, Austria or some country that really doesn't care. Because with Stubb taking that role, at least we know that he's not going to sell Eastern Europe to Russia or something like this, because he knows the implications. And also, what I liked about what he said to Johnson is that he took the false hopes away about troops coming to Ukraine or about the assets being seized. So I think in that sense it was good. But obviously the talk about peace and all the I'm not going to use the word, but all the background, all the feet licking he's doing for Trump and all the stuff he's doing to try to praise Trump and so on, it's obviously theater to try to keep Trump happy. He's trying to keep that Trump line in terms of peace being the goal and stuff like this. I think deep inside he knows that it's not going to happen, but he just needs to repeat it to keep Trump kind of happy and to keep the illusion that Trump is working for peace. And I think that Europe knows that it's obviously not something that's going to last. But I think that they're playing for time and trying to buy some time while they're preparing for the US to disengage, and while they're preparing to be less dependent on the US. So in that sense, as I know that that's what he's trying to do, I'm not so pissed at him. But obviously it sucks to hear those things, because it's just not nice.
I kind of understand it's not his position. This is why I finished my speech with, and the whole West is and it's the position of the whole West, not just him. Yeah, I understand. So I was not pissed at him. I was pissed at him as a messenger of that message, but I understand it's not just his. It's the collective West position, unfortunately. But guys, I need you also to react to what me and Yoni were talking about. So, Aziza, since you haven't been talking at all today yet, you be first, please.
First, I think that if we will join to the NATO, it will break this Russian propaganda that they begin this war because of NATO. It will be. I think it will change nothing, because they will do same war and NATO will not like defend us. So it's just I think it's a reason that we have no leaders in Europe, leaders of new generation that can be brave to like change the standard, like change of rules of NATO, and be more criminal, like such countries like Russia or in other countries. So change the rules, change everything, and also they live in illusion that Russia can stop, or maybe really they are waiting for a better time. So I read the article about it, that Europe is not ready for the war with Russia, and they need like 5 years or 10 years for preparing everything, army, and so it's like they need this time, and they use Europe or use Ukraine for this topic, for this point, because it could not maybe be so powerful against like Russia and China, and they need this time. But I think it's more about that they have no will, really will of great leaders. They can do step like превентивный удар, like said Lukashenko. They could not do it. They want to be so saint, so wise, so with the that they are really leaders of the peace. They don't want to do something bad. They don't want to be aggressive, because they are like they are like in a prison of these ideas. And it's really very scary, because we know this idea when Jewish people said it was too much late when you are near with the concentration camps to fight, because you will die in the next second, and you will did nothing. You just saw that you can be peaceful, and you can be not with weapons, and you can be like powerful, because you have deep culture of great thinkers, and you could not be part of these barbarian people who want to fight. No, you will be in these concentration camps. Just it will be too like the peace. No, sorry.
Too late. Too late.
Too late to do it. And so you have to be brave to do it now, to be aggressive like Russia, do some step and be together with Ukraine. And I'm sure that Russia will, like Father said, will not use nuclear weapons, because Russian are really they are afraid of a lot of things, and they are really like criminal people, just like touch what they can do. So they just try to do um, uh, some steps to this direction, and they see that these European people are weak. They are powerful, but they are weak with this all stuff, with this great system, because NATO is really good, great, and it would be a really big victory for us to be part of NATO. But if NATO will also understand that Ukraine is a best part of NATO, could be best part of NATO, and I don't know, to create such projects when a lot of European soldiers will practice in Ukraine, will learn something from the battlefield from Ukraine, to be more in this topic, to be more in our reality, because they have to be stronger, and like Ukrainian soldiers, and we also need NATO support of this real human minds. It's really understood a lot of great system. So what I think that, I don't know, I feel great disappointment, and it's all like from the bad dream, when you see Trump, what he said about everything, when you see Poland, and it just we have no choice. We have to fight in any case. We have to be strong, and it's all only about that we have to be next soldiers. we have to prepare us because we have to fight, me and another my friends, and it's very sad for me, because but it's reality. I think the European people maybe think that it will be like this for these people, but I think exactly this point, that they are way of something better. It directly makes this worse future near with their life. So it's just our reality, and I really don't want that nobody will see same war like we can see now in Ukraine. I really want to defend peace in Europe, peace in this great civilization, because really I think that it's a most successful example how to live normal beautiful life, how to create, how, because yes, I love, for example, um your Japanese philosophy, or Chinese philosophy, deep philosophy, not like with the country, state, and government, but deep philosophy. But they didn't use it in real life. They didn't use, like they said in the great literature, in great books. They created really big problems for all the world, and Europe really show this in reality, really this moral standards, supporting human rights, supporting the future for our children, but they are weak. They could not leave this illusion that they can be same, but we have to change. We have to change. We have to be more aggressive. We have to be not in a white в білому пальто, як це сказати англійською?
White coat.
White coat, like we
I
are
don't know if you have this
yeah,
idiom.
I think it's like don't push the horses. Типу такого. So yeah.
Don't push the horses. Yeah, that was funny. Guys, I just want to ask you what you think, and maybe you have something to react to Aziza's speech. So yeah, whatever you think on that.
What can I say? Aziza said the 100% sure, like for everything, but I mean that Europe needs our experience, and it's very serious question. The even NATO started. They did this in 2022, but they are collecting our experience because the war is developing like every day. There are more and more innovations, and the FPVs, like UAVs, they have them, but they don't know how to use them in the war conditions, I believe. Yes, we still receive like German UAVs, other UAVs, but no, just flying over the fields, training. It's a bit different than being under this electronic rep.
Warfare, yeah, electronic warfare.
Electronic warfare. It's pretty different, and our pilots, they are so experienced. Even they are setting new and new records by how far they can feed an enemy, they can hit an enemy. So our experience is priceless in the world, as for now at least.
I just want to say as well, very quickly, a friend of mine, who I actually went to school with in the UK, and he's also in the army. He's involved in like teaching the Ukrainians, the Ukrainians that get sent off to the UK. And he was telling me like most of the guys that fucking turn up have already been to the front, and this guy like he's been on deployments and stuff like that with the army, but he's never actually been, like, if I'm correct, like at war. And he was saying like yeah, they're teaching the guys like other stuff, but he was also saying like what the fuck can he teach them? You know, like they've already been at the front, you know, so it's not like they're going to teach them how to shoot a gun because they've already shot a fucking gun, you know, at people. When half the guys there haven't even shot at another human being like ever, you know. And he was saying like it's a big wake up call because like he will sit down and talk to the Ukrainians and ask, you know, what they're doing, you know, how things are happening, you know, like what do they look out for and all this stuff like that, you know, because as much as like, yeah, the Ukrainians are going to get like this great training, you know, and how to work as a, you know, as a unit at like, I think they're learning at like platoon and company level. I'm not too sure. But it's also like the British Army, I don't think they're sat there going, right, FPVs hit you, deal with it, you know, because if an FPV hits you, you're not going to jump straight on the casualty. You're going to hide, you know, like it's even like the medical training, you know, like everybody is at like a CLS level because of the way the war is, you know. It's like in Afghanistan, you know, NATO had what they called the golden hour. You know, somebody stepped on an IED or something, within an hour, they would have a Chinook landing like casualty on back to Bastion. They don't have, you can't do that here, you know. Nobody's going to have the minerals to slap a fucking Chinook down in a wood line, like in Donbass. Like it would just be retarded. So you've got all these Ukrainians that are at like CLS level, like Team Medic Quold, like in British Army standards, it would be classed as Team Medic Quold, to be able to deal with casualties. Because the Ukrainians, sometimes they have to sit there for like, sometimes 6 hours, sometimes 2-3 days, you know, with shrapnel wounds, because they need this higher level of skill to be able to sit on a casualty for longer, you know. I know a team, and that when they was in Bakhmut, I think they actually sat on a casualty for a whole week. You know, like he was pretty fucked up, and they managed to keep him going for a week before they could get him out. The West aren't doing that. You know, they're not sat there saying, right, everybody needs to be at this level of medical training. You know, you need to know more than just how to use an IFAC. You need to know how to use SAM splints. You know, all this other bullshit like that. You know how to you need to know how to use needle decompressions, because in the British Army, only the medic from like the Royal Army Medical Corps can put in a decompression needle. In Ukraine, a lot of units are sat there teaching your basic soldier how to use a needle decompression. And I think that's massively important. And everybody needs to be able to catch up with medical stuff, you know, even just like artillery tactics, route planning, even like I don't know. I don't really want to fucking say the name of it in case I get in trouble. But like the tablets and the software that we're using, you know, it's like it's so easy to now, because you like if you're walking, you can just pull up this tablet and you can see the whole battle space on a fucking tablet. When I was in the army, you didn't have that. It was like you literally were told, right, the enemy's here. This is the, and they would show you on the map, this is the route we're going to take, blah 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 blah. This is what we're going to do. And then it would be solely on like if you went as a platoon, like the platoon sergeant, platoon commander, all the way down to the section commanders. But here, if you wanted to do a company size attack, you wouldn't be able to do it the way the West is currently doing it, because if you rolled a tank forward, what's the first thing the Russians are going to do? FPV. They don't have to get out their hole. You know, if you launch an assault, first thing they're going to do, artillery, FPV. The world is big, like the whole warfare thing where it become like, you know, fighting is all unmanned. You know, like I know drone operators that have been on the front for a month and not left their hole. You know, they send one guy out every few hours to put the drone down to fly it up. Like you don't have to leave your hole anymore. You know, and you fly a drone up these days, even if it doesn't even have to be an FPV, and it can halt a whole attack. You know, just one Mavic can stop a whole attack. The West won't be able to comprehend that. Yes, they'll probably come out with some form of really fucking nerdy drone jammer that I'll never know anything about, because it's like if it's more than an iPhone, my brain can't comprehend it. But it's like, unless like the West will do something like that, and then they'll be like, oh fuck, Do you know what we forgot? Fiber optic drones, didn't they? Yeah. We forgot about them, didn't we? And it's just like it's an always evolving thing, right? And it really fucking annoys me because I think that every soldier should be able to be at least at like a combat medic level, to at least, you know, like everybody should know how to use a needle decompression. Everybody should understand the bare bones basics on how a drone operates. I'll never fly a drone in my life because I'll crash it. But whenever I go out to the front, I ask drone guys, what are the drones like? Because at the moment, a lot of the Ukrainians are actually going out with nets and dropping nets on top of enemy drones, you know. So it's there like, what routes have you seen the enemy drones fly? You know, where are they likely to be and all this stuff like that? You know, the West aren't ready to be asking these questions because they get the villager turn up who's been conscripted, been to the front. Next thing you know, he's in the UK and he's sat there telling them how to fight a war. And it's there like, well, I've been in the army for 10 years. It's like, yeah, great, bro. Where the fuck have you been? Like, you've been on your training area in the fucking woods, whilst you've got Ivan Conscriptovich sat there in Donbass scrapping for 6 months for the last 3 years. You know, like, everybody needs to start sparking. Everybody needs to start fucking. If they're going to start sending money to Ukraine, they need to start doing it properly. When they say they're going to do it, actually fucking do it. Because what NATO also do, right, is they get told all this information and they get told all of their resources, and then they go, right, okay, sound. So we have this coming, we can plan, and they will plan for that, right? Ukraine will also do that, and then it will come to the point where they're like, where's the money then? And then they go, oh fuck, sorry mate, forgot about that, we'll give it to you next month. They're like, no mate, like, you need to start pumping loads of money, loads of bullets, nahui, loads of ammunition, nahui, give me gun blet. You need to just start fucking pumping Ukraine with all sorts of mad crazy shit so we can start actually pushing back, because at the moment we're all on a defense. Everybody's like, don't get me wrong, you've got these minor mini assaults going here and there, but let's be real, like, unless NATO really start fucking pushing how they were in 2022 and 2023, it's just going to become a vicious stalemate, you know. And I as I said last week, I need to, I want to see the change. I feel like I do need to see a change, because the West is very fucking soft at the minute, and you've got all these Ukrainians sat there going, please help me, I'm being bombed, mate. And they're going, oh, you got the UK going, oh, fucking, hang on a minute. You're going into prison because you said something nasty about me on Facebook. That's Keir Starmer for you. You've got Trump turning around going, do you know what? Fuck you, mate. You told me no. So what I'm going to do, right, is I'm going to make you get all your iPhones made in India instead of China because I want to charge them more money. You know, it's all this stupid bullshit. There's bigger things going off in the world right now, right? And people need to start actually focusing on the serious things where human lives actually matter. You know, when Europe used to be Europe, right, everybody had a backbone. Like 30, 40 years ago, you know, I feel as if Europe was like, it was a very, very strong power. And now, as I said in the chat earlier, what everybody's gone off and fucking done is they've all decided to play Skyrim on their political journey and fuck everybody along the way, including themselves. Right? Like,
Fuzzy, that was a fucking awesome rant. Really, thank you for that.
I've just had enough, mate. Right? They're all fucking gay.
Another Ukrainian, another Ukrainian is thanking you in the chat, Anastasia Gavryluk. Good to see Anastasia. And yeah, thank you, Fuzzy. Like, I totally agree with you, and it's just, yeah.
Like, she's speaking, like, you've got Aziza, right? She's speaking facts, mate. She sat there like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not going to sit there and say I agree with everything everybody says, because I don't, right? But when somebody, like, it's a fucking civilian sat there telling you the facts, and these retards are sat there going, oh, fuck, stop the boats. It's there like, mate, like, there's bigger issues, bro.
Fuzzy power. Tunes said that.
Wankers, mate.